Harry, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do this one. First one. Man City will win the Premier League every season from here onwards as long as Pep Guardiola is in charge.
It's a fair statement. Why not? He's the best coach in world football. He's got the resources that nobody else has. He's had years to build this squad. Therefore, it's in a place where he only needs to make 1 or 2 additions here and there to keep it fresh. He seems to be brilliant at identifying when a player's time at City has probably come to an end, when it's right to move him on. So yeah, I think that's a fair statement. It's not an overreaction at all.
It's crazy, isn't it, really? I mean, it's simple, isn't it? The best manager in the world, and he's got all the resources he wants. I mean,
he's got everything. He's got an owner that cares about the results. Yeah. He's got a chairman that knows what he's doing. He's got a recruitment team that are really hot on what they're doing. He's got the perfect backroom staff in terms of people that he wants around him and people that understand his philosophy. And he's got players that are really, really hungry. Plus, actually, the whole backdrop of the Premier League charges has probably been a massive motivation for everybody at Manchester City to go out there and prove everybody wrong and prove that they are the best without it being even up for question. So I think
there's been that debate, well, not this season, but for the last 4 or 5 about him, Klopp. Like, some people prefer Klopp, some people prefer Guardiola. The one thing that Guardiola does so much better than Klopp is he knows when to get rid of a player so quick. Like, Klopp seems to hang on to players for so long. Like, this season, Keita's just finally leaving the club, Firmino, etc. Guardiola just gets rid immediately.
He's much more ruthless.
Way more ruthless.
And that's what's needed to maintain those levels. Sir Alex Ferguson was great at that in the past as well, knowing when it was time to move somebody on.
And surprised you with it.
Yeah,
surprised you with it. Oh, that follows on to the next one, actually. You mentioned Sir Alex Ferguson. Pep Guardiola is the best football manager in history.
I think it's a fair point. Again, nonsense. Why not? He's won 11 league titles out of the 14 he's managed for, I think.
Yeah, but he's at the best club in the league all the time.
Yeah, but
it's not like he's not Mourinho. He's not doing what Mourinho's doing, where he's not taking the best job all the time.
But if you're the best at your job, why would you take any job below that? He's coming at Barcelona.
I agree that
done
point.
Fantastic.
I agree that point. But then I don't think we can then give him as many plaudits as we do and pats on the back for taking the team that is the best in the country all the time.
I think that's an unfair criticism that's thrown at him all the time. Because if you are the best in class, you will get given the best job.
Yeah, but what about those managers that have taken jobs where the clubs are not expected to win and do win? I almost feel like those managers should be given more plaudits than a manager that takes the job where at the start of the season you're favourites to win it. I
think it works both ways, because I think
like Mourinho winning the Champions League with Porto and Champions League with Inter Milan, for me, far bigger achievements.
Yeah, they are big achievements. There's no doubt about that. But I think there's other factors at play here. The style of football. To be able to go and win football matches playing like that and never compromising on your belief around how the game should be played, to park the bus in the way that Mourinho did, as we used to say all those years ago. Or, even Sir Alex Ferguson to a degree, he used to go into away games sometimes with Park in the midfield as an extra man, as a 5. And they would be.
Isn't there something about that as well, though? Isn't there something about that style of football that deserves plaudits?
I like the fact that he was adaptable. I think managers should be adaptable, and that's important. And in-game management is key. But I think if your football is that good and your standards are that high all the time, you should never need to worry about the opponent. That's perfection. And Pep Guardiola is the only manager, in my opinion, that's achieved perfection in his football teams. Barcelona at times were perfect. For me, the best club side I've ever seen. You look at this Man City side now, and they're making a strong argument as well. If they go win the treble,
it's weird how everyone skips past Bayern Munich. Everyone skips that off the CV of Pep, don't they?
I think that's the one.
Look at the team he had there, phenomenal team.
Yeah,
skips it.
I think that's the one where there's a massive chasm between Bayern Munich and the rest of their division. I know City have things in their favour as well, but it's still the Premier League, and it's still not a given that you're going to win it.
No, okay, true. Julian Alvarez, sticking with City, is a top 5 Premier League striker.
Yeah, I think he is. I think it's scary how good he is, and the fact that he's behind the best striker, probably number 1 in world football right now, is unfortunate for him.
Are we talking forwards here? I'm looking at Jeremy, our producer. Are we talking forwards or striker number 9 for the middle striker? Okay.
Yeah, if you're talking about number 9s, he's definitely up there.
Yeah, definitely number 9s.
Cool in front of goal, really hard working. I think he can press in the way that most modern managers want you to do. Just come off the back of winning a World Cup, and he finds himself on the bench only because he's behind Erling Haaland. He walks into any other Premier League side for me. Genuinely. Who's got a better centre forward than Julian Alvarez? Tottenham. Okay, maybe. Harry Kane, I'll give you that. But outside of that, I'm struggling. I really am.
I do like Isak as well. I'm a massive fan. He's Henry, isn't he?
Alexander Isak is a great talent.
You wanted him.
Yeah, we did. We weren't willing to pay in the end what Newcastle paid for him. At the time, Real Sociedad wanted the release clause to be met,
Probably should have.
which was upwards of 70 million. But he's got a bit of Gabriel Jesus vibes for me, in that he won't score you 25, 30 goals a season. He'll help you to create a lot because of the things he does off the ball and the things he does in terms of his movement. But he's never going to score Haaland levels of goals.
No one is, dude.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. Next one, Mauricio Pochettino will not qualify Chelsea for the Champions League next season. They won't make top 4.
I think that's a bit of an overreaction, just because when you look at that squad, it's packed with talent. Wow. It's not all
packed with
work.
Names or talent?
Packed with names, but packed with talent as well, because those players, you feel like if they're put into the right positions and they're managed in the right way and they can rediscover that kind of hunger again, then there's no reason why Chelsea can't make a significant jump from where they are this season. And you know they'll spend again. So the fact that they're able to do that and enhance what they already have means that although it's not a given they'll be back in the top 4, there's a really good chance that they don't have this long period of trying to get there, and they can close the gap quickly.
This next one's controversial. Harry Kane will sign a new contract at Spurs.
He shouldn't, but he probably will.
Probably will, won't he?
He probably will, because I can't see who's going to go meet Daniel Levy's valuation of the player. Now, if I were Daniel Levy, I'd say...
What do you think the valuation is with 1 year left to go?
I think he's
for
probably...
a 29-year-old.
Upwards of 80 million. And that sounds steep, but I think
everyone, by the way, in the room moved in their seats.
Well, I'm not saying. Let's be clear. I'm not saying that that's what I value him at. I think that's what Tottenham will value him at. And if I were Tottenham, I'd take the money, because I think it's so clear that they need to rebuild. And if with the stadium and the fact that they're not going to be in Europe next season, they're going to be cash strapped to a degree, then they could probably really do with a cash injection for a player who will walk away for free at the end of the next season.
Changes everything with regards to managers that they can approach, isn't it? Like, you approach a manager and you've got Harry Kane in your squad, you can get a top manager. If you are talking a rebuild, still Tottenham, don't get me wrong, you're still going to be on massive wages as a manager, but it's a completely different manager, I think. Like, you get an elite manager if Kane's there, you don't if Kane's not.
I think, though, if you're a type of manager that has a specific way of playing that doesn't necessarily
Good shout.
Have Harry Kane at the centre of it, then you don't want to be hamstrung by the fact you have to keep him. If Tottenham give him a 500k a week contract, let's say for argument's sake, to make sure he stays, a new manager might prefer a blank canvas. I know he's a great player,
That's a good shout.
not taking away from it, but to have
sometimes
the resource,
it's okay to let your superstar go.
Yeah, and he's been there long enough.
Yeah. All right, final one, big one. Arsenal should prioritise signing a new centre-back over signing Declan Rice.
No. Arsenal have got 2 really strong centre-halves in Gabriel and Saliba. Ben White is a good centre-half. Tomiyasu is a good centre-half. The problem has been that Tomiyasu's been out for months, which has let Arsenal down. Saliba's been out for a couple of months now as well. Injuries have really impacted Arsenal there. They've been unlucky in that position. Jakub Kivior's come in. Isn't the finished article yet, but I believe will improve. So I don't think that's the number 1 priority for Arsenal, as long as everyone can get back fit. Midfield is a big issue, though. And with Granit Xhaka seemingly headed for the exit, with Thomas Partey's form having gone off the boil, I think Arsenal badly need to recruit in midfield. And that's always been the area I've looked at of this team and gone, we're still short. You know, Xhaka, Odegaard, Partey, when they're all playing brilliantly, fine, it's great. But beyond that, it's always been a problem.
Would you take him over everyone? Like, you know, he was obviously linked with Caicedo and other midfielders. Would you take Declan over Caicedo?
I probably would. The only thing for me with Declan Rice is the price that you're going to have to pay. I think it is excessive. I think
ridiculous.
If West Ham are talking about
over 100 million,
yeah, and I think that's a lot of money. There's been talk of Arsenal preparing an offer for around about £92 million, which...
Why do Arsenal do this? If you've got 92, just give an extra 8.
I think
why do Arsenal always do this?
I think in this situation...
Going back to the Suarez days.
Yeah, it's true.
Just pay it.
But I think in this situation, Arsenal know that the player would be interested in the move. They know that West Ham probably need to move him on now rather than later, because his value will dip with the term of his contract. I think Arsenal are just playing a bit of... You never go into a negotiation with your top whack, do you?
No.
And that's standard across the board. I think the Suarez
thing
is...
That's a massive statement, I think, though. If Arsenal finish second, obviously you will, and then say, okay, Declan Rice, it shows the team, it shows the fans that, no, we mean business for next season. That's a statement signing.
It is, and I think one of the things that let Arsenal down at the back end of the season was a lack of power. And I think Declan Rice brings that in abundance.
How are you getting Declan Rice and we're getting McAllister? How have you jumped above us like this? I have no idea.
Football can change very quickly.
Very, very quickly.